Do you think the use of student fees is used effectively?
I don't see it as being used currently effectively because as we currently can tell from the news recently, the major fee that's being debated and the source of major controversy on campus is the SS ETF fee. And as we know, 40% of that goes to athletics. And I think we can all logically assume that now 40% of the student body is related somehow to, or is even involved in athletics. So, and then the other 60% is supposed to go to improving technology in classrooms and stuff, but as we can tell in some classrooms, it looks like the 1970s came there and they never left. So, I don't think it's being, the fees are being distributed proportionally to how the campus is actually affects the students. For example, the student body is made up of a lot of different students and how they come to campus. For example, we have commuters, and then we have people who live on campus. We have the full-time students, and then the part-time students. We have students with disabilities, students with language barriers, and we don't really care if any fees affecting them specifically. So I think student fees should be distributed appropriately to where a lot of the students are, how the students are distributed amongst campus, and that it should, instead of the 40-60 split, it should be we should still support athletics somehow, but we should also give more to where it's really needed to help students prosper and be able to graduate in a timely manner.
Okay, moving on to environmental affairs. Now the candidates for this position, please go up. Hi. Is it just you?
Yes, it's just me.
Okay. So, say your name.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Davis, and I'm running for re-election to the Director of Environmental Affairs position.
Okay, so your first question, what are your opinions on current environmental policies on campus?
Current environmental policies on campus. Well, something that's been a very big deal recently is the Spartan Daily article on the bike ban. And I would say that is very, very relatable to the environment. So what we've been working on is we've been working closely with the Campus Planning Board on forming our next steps to figuring out what's best for our campus. And we are working on a balance of safety for students and pedestrians and the freedom that we have to ride our bikes. And we want to make sure that everyone's accommodated and everyone's interests are there, but safety should always be first. And that's where I stand on that particular one. I've been filtering students into those campus planning board meetings to make sure everyone's at the table who is interested and wants their voice to be heard, and we've made great strides in that direction. Thank you.
Moving on to advising affairs, and I believe all candidates are here, so if you could please go to the table. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Amy Blaylock, Arena Izzetti, Sharon Jill Hall.
And these are your candidates for Director of University Advising Affairs. So your first question is, what do you think is the best way to improve advising on campus? Ms. Hall.
All right, so I think that the best way to improve advising is I want to focus on program learning outcomes and bridging those with university learning goals. At this point, university learning goals 5A and 5B, which promote social and local responsibilities, are not being adequately met by our program learning outcomes. Now, PLOs are the foundation of our curriculum. It's what we learn and what we take away from our classrooms, and knowing that each of our students should exit as alumni, knowing that they are accountable to their communities, the communities that they live in, the communities that they work in, and the communities that they play in, is absolutely critical. And the way that these PLOs and ULGs should be met and bridged is through open forums, so that we have a collective and unified student voice informing that process, and also by reinstating the campus climate survey, which should also help inform the way and manner in which these PLOs and ULGs are going to be bridged. And so together so this twofold process should inform that bridging, so that we are all on the same page, students and faculty, and that we are community, bridged, unified, and celebrating our differences.
Thank you. Okay, Okay, same question, Ms. Layla.
I think that the largest issue, obviously, is that advising isn't necessarily prominent in a lot of aspects of student life. Not many students, go visit an advisor at a certain time. Besides engineering, there isn't a required time to go be with an advisor, for like what I know of. So I think obviously it should be more accessible and even possibly, not mandatory, but definitely advise at certain times. That way students know that they need help. Often students go about it not even knowing that they should see somebody. And then a particular thing that I'm interested in personally is students with academic probation. I mentioned before in open forum, I'm really interested in bridging the gap between students who are on probation and graduate students. I think that that's a really good way to utilize their experience. So graduate students majoring in counseling education, even going for a teaching credential, could work with students with academic probation. I know a lot of departments have like a mentorship between, like if you fail out of a certain science class, you'll get partnered with someone who helps you, walk through that science class again. But I think that advising doesn't just stop at one class. I think that it should be for all your classes as long as you need help, and I think that everybody really does need help. So for students in active probation, to be partnered with a graduate student who not only sees them through a particular class, but through a particular year and even forward, I think that once you get to college, you're not necessarily done. I think that students still need help, and even if you're not on probation, having someone accessible that you could really partner with and see eye to eye and kind of show you the ropes would be really a great resource to use. And I think that would really further the advising presence on campus.
Thank you. And lastly, Ms. Izadi.
I will try to work with the communications between the students and the counselors and communications between the students and the instructors. There's been a gap between these two, and unfortunately, there are a lot of students who just approach and ask, and I've heard that they don't know their counselors, they don't know where to go, they don't know who they are, or this is a really, really important to know your counselor. Personally, I haven't ever met my counselor. The only person I know is my major advisor, and that's it. And I don't know, I'm not proud of it, and I have to meet the counselor personally for my major as well. This is one of the major things that I think we need to work on, plus the communication with the instructors and their students. Someone mentioned yesterday about the last minute notification about the cancellation of the classes, and this is something that everyone's worried about. I know some of the students who need to be eligible to get the financial aid, they need to be full-time, and that's a 12-unit minimum units. And if one of the classes get canceled, they will drop them. If it's a 3-unit, they will drop them to the lower than a 12, which may be a full-time for university, but it will not be a full-time enough for the financial aid to be received. And I will try to work on that to the students at least be notified at least 2 weeks before the classes start, so at least they know what classes they need to take, and to have at least in mind to have other classes in mind just in case if the other class is not 100% canceled.
Thank you. So seeing that the candidate for student rights and responsibilities is here, we're going to move on to intercultural affairs. If all the candidates would please come up to the table. And go ahead and introduce yourself when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Kosh Mangalore. I'm Learning Senior Director of Cultural Affairs. I'm currently in the 4th year. We'll be graduating in spring 2015.
Hi everybody, my name is Miriam Mosqueda. I'm also running City Year Next Director of Cultural Affairs on the 2nd year of Political Science.
Hi, I'm Aditya Mehra, and I'm running for the Director of Intercultural Affairs as well, and I'm a 4th year mechanical engineering student.
So your first question would be, what change would you make to AS if you could? So starting with Mr. Mehra.
So one of the first things which I would like to do if I get elected would be to advertise and create an awareness among the student population about the already existing services and on-campus student organizations and activities to let the students know that they can be involved, and basically being an advocate for all kinds of students from all the ethnic backgrounds, all the cultural backgrounds, and not just that, also all the majors. So yeah, basically that's what one of the main things I would do, all the other things.
Thank you. Mr. Mangalore,
Repeat the question one more time.
what change would you make to AS if you could?
I I think the biggest change for AS, I think, is changing the culture of what associate student is. I had the opportunity to go to UC Berkeley this last week, and as you know, many of you know, they have elections also going at this time. However, the culture at UC Berkeley, a lot of them know what elections are. A lot of them know what they're voting for. A lot of them know what they're actually seeing, what they want, and have ideas and everything incorporated. At San Jose State, I feel like a lot of the students don't know exactly what associate students do. I feel like a lot of my friends, I was like, oh, you're running for a club, or you're running for an organization. No, it's actually associate students. A lot of the individuals that are elected this year will actually be making changes of what kind of policy we've enacted, what kind of fees we're doing, and what kind of, eventually, like what kind of student body we'll have. So I think the biggest change for AA, if I had to make one change to AS, would be getting our name out there, creating that we are a bunch of student leaders that actually try to bring change to this campus.
Lastly, Ms. Mosqueda.
Hi, everybody. So one of the main things that a lot of you have already heard me say previously with the other two open forums is, just as my fellow candidates had said, was to also improve the communication between AS and the student body. So I know that for my position in particular, I would be the student representative for all of the underrepresented students on campus. So that includes like the graduate students, veterans, LGBTQ community, Black students on campus, Chicano students on campus. And by being their student voice in AS, that means that I would also be representing all of the cultural, ethnic, and special interest organizations on campus. And I'm already very involved with the majority of them. So I am currently the co-chair for MECHA, which stands for Movimiento Estudiantil Chicano Nacional. And what we focus on is promoting higher education to underrepresented youth. So that's includes gang-affiliated, gang-active, and probation programs, things like that. I'm also a member of the Native American Student Organization. I'm part of a social justice network called In Solidarity. And I am supported and I support a lot of different cultural, ethnic, and special interest organizations on campus, such as BSU, the Black Student Union, BUG, Black Community Group, BASE, the Black Alliance for Students and Engineers, SAHE, Student Advocates for Higher Education. So I already have very good connections with all of these people. So because I already have good connections with these people, I want to bring that to AS by stepping inside AS and reestablishing that connection between all of these groups and AS so that we can better that communication and better the relationship with each other so that the communication can go both ways, so that it's the students as a whole with all the cultural, ethnic, and special interest organizations talking to AS and brainstorming ideas on like how it is that we can improve conditions here on this campus. You know, why is it that certain students are feeling safer than others? What can we do to improve that? Or what is going good on campus that's helping these groups of students feel comfortable, and how can we continue that? So that's one of the main things that I would like to do if I was in AS.
Thank you. Moving on to extracurricular affairs, and moving on to one candidate here.
Hi, I'm Owen. I'm representing extracurricular affairs.
So your first question is, what would you do to make student organizations more accessible to students on campus?
Well, what I feel like we should do to make student organizations more accessible is actually first get their names out. Like the only thing in campus that we get our names out for student extracurricular affairs, or extracurricular overall, is the student organization fair that's only held one day, in addition to private conference. That's only 2 events out of the whole school year that we actually hear about student organizations. I feel like if we put our names out and we just like promote more events, we should be able to create better connections with the extracurricular activities.
Okay, and then what experience do you have with extracurriculars on campus?
So the extracurricular I'm involved with, I'm actually part of Alpha Omega, I'm the secretary right now. I am part of the Sparkling Table Tennis Club. I'm historian right now. I'm part of Zuchi, Circle K, they both community service. I love doing community service, which is I'm a huge advocate. So those are some of the things. I was part of Kendo for about a semester until I got a little more busier. I love doing things that extracurricular-wise, and I'm passionate about learning about more others. Extracurricular, it's hard to find time. So.
Thank you. Moving on to external affairs, if all candidates would please come to the candidates. External affairs?
It's open position. You can talk about that. Excuse me, internal.
I'm going to external, so no candidates
everyone. My name is Brandon Dell.
Hi, my name is Jessica Fuentes.
Good afternoon, my name is Monica Orozco. Okay, so the first question is, what business, oh, just kidding. What is the best way to outreach to students? I personally feel that face-to-face communication is the best way. You know, it adds a personal touch. It makes people feel like, oh, hey, like for example, what I would want to do is, I would advise like maybe making a committee or personally going out myself to different clubs and organizations on campus and promoting what AS is doing. Because I mean, we already do a good job on that with social media, you know. But I feel like going and talking to the clubs and organizations, adding that personal touch, makes people feel like, oh, hey, they want me to go. Like, oh, maybe I should go. Because it's easy, like, you know, put it on social media. People just scroll right by it and they forget. But maybe it makes more of an impact when you go and you visit the club or organization, or you just kind of like tell people about it on campus.
Can you repeat the question just to make sure that I answer it fully?
What is the best way to outreach to students?
I think the best way to outreach to students is by being accessible at all times. I mean, you want to be that person that if anyone has a question, they can come to you and you're going to be able to answer it, whether it's face-to-face, through email, or through any other channel of communication. I personally feel as if I'm a very approachable person, and for the position of Director of Communications, you have to be a representative, and I mean, any other of the directors of or associated students, you have to be representing the organization at all times. And so if you're showing that through your actions and whatever you're doing, I think students will know, and they are going to feel more comfortable reaching out to you.
Okay. It's really hard to be able to reach and contact students because in San Francisco we have students who are living in housing, who commutes, and students who are part-time. How are we going to be able to contact all of these students where we're all different? We have students who are living at home, students living in apartments, students who live in housing, and the best way to be able to contact all of these students, yes, be able to get to know them in person, be able to understand what organizations they are, but first we have to be able to establish the fact that they know what AS is and what AS offers and who we are, because once they understand that, then we'll be able to contact them by emails, social media, and be able to go to meetings, be able to talk to them in front of them, be able to just present yourself and be able to let them understand that we're here for them, be able to, if they need help, if they need to request money, if they need to be able to understand where they can get this resource, where they can meet someone to be able to help them. But first we have to be able to let them know who we are first and be able to contact them.
Thank you. And last question, name one new marketing idea that you want to try in this position. So let's start with Mr. Joe.
One new way, I'm not sure, do we promote AS while we having campus events such as Trash and Fashion and Fire and Housing? Yes. Another new way we would be able to do that is by having, let me just start over a different way, like a new way that we haven't done when we haven't tried
Aside
to
from like
social media, fire and housing. Another new way we will be able to implement to be able to promote associate students would be doing a survey where we will be able to understand where students are coming from. Are they commuters? Are they living on campus? Be able to just get a better understanding where they're coming from, and maybe even ask them, do you know what AS offers? Do you know what AS is in general? And be able to get that understanding and information from students to be able to understand where they're coming from and be able to utilize that to our advantage and be able to help AS understand our students that we're representing.
Thank you. Ms. Fuentes?
I think there's so many ways that we can improve the position of Director of Communications. As we've all mentioned, as every single candidate has mentioned, there's a lack of communication in every single department. And there's two main ideas, two things that I want to implement to that position, and it's to start using more public speaking. I feel very confident in my advocating ability through public speaking, and so what I would do is reach out to organizations, and if I can have the opportunity to speak with them, I would come to them and inform them about what Associated Students is, what we're doing, and let them know that I'm accessible. The second way that I want to market to students and inform them about what Associated Students is through multimedia. I think a lot of us are visual learners, and we'd rather watch a video than read an article for sure. Or sometimes it's just faster, and a lot of us don't have time to do everything. And so it's also a very creative way to get the attention of the students. Students. Associated Students already has a YouTube channel, and they've made videos like, what is Associated Students? They made a video about the Associated Student House. It's like a Chris video. It's pretty cool. You guys should check it out. But I want to go further with that, and I want to do maybe even some videos on the directors and what they're doing every day, and maybe some of the initiatives that they have in mind and how they're planning to put them into action. Thank you.
Thank you, and lastly, Ms. Roscoe, could you repeat the question, please? Name one new marketing idea that you want to try this position. Well, like I mentioned earlier, going out and personally adding like the personal touch that I feel that AS is missing. Maybe being like not exactly the face of AS, you know, we can bring some of the other directors along, just kind of promote AS and let people know what's going on. And actually, it was mentioned to me that the director of communications and the AS marketing team, they don't really have a strong connection, or they don't really communicate. So I feel like maybe building like a bridge with the marketing team might kind of like bringing the director of communications and the marketing team together might create like some sort of like good power team just to like inform all the students. Thank you. Moving on to business affairs. Now can I please come forward? Okay. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Camila Collins. I'm a sophomore business major, and I'm writing business.
So your first question, what business experience do you have?
What business experience do I have? I worked with housing. My freshman year last year, I worked with housing, and I was the treasurer, which isn't exactly saying I ran a business, but I overlooked the finances, which constitutes an experience, I would say. Also, I'm currently on the finance committee of ISAC, which is a nonprofit business organization where we work with actual businesses. We send interns abroad to professional companies, and we bring them from other countries here. So I have to talk to professional businesses every single day, like PwC, and communicate with them and do business with them. Literally, we do business. So that's my business experience.
And what change would you make to AS if you were into this position?
What change would I make? Right now, I feel like the students don't really have much of a voice when it comes to the finances and the budgeting. So if I was elected, I would create like an online forum and send out an email, I would say, to my SJSU and let them participate and let them say what they think needs to be changed, how they think the money should be spent. Because right now, a lot of the AS money is going towards ETA and print shops, and that is all good, but I feel like more could be done. And the students are the ones who would know what they want and how they want the money spent. So that is one change I will make.
Thank you. Moving on to controller. Candidates present, please. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, I'm Nino Ryan Chrysostom.
What do you think needs to be done to balance the AS budget better?
One thing that I want to test the waters with or implement is doing a survey. Mr. Brandon Doe already mentioned a little bit about this idea earlier. The more that students are informed about the resources that AS offers, such as the computer labs, print shops, the more they're willing to participate and say and voice their opinions. It could be a simple survey saying a list of saying these are the resources we put your fees in, and do you use it or do you want to use it? By a quick show of hands, who here uses their PTA passes? A good amount. How about the computer labs, print shops? It's pretty good. See, by measuring the usage rates of students, we can allocate, seeing how much student volume uses these resources. Maybe some departments are not getting a lot of student traffic. Maybe others are getting a lot. And we can reallocate those budget to put more focus in the ones that students really need and really want to use it.
And lastly, every student organization is allocated a set budget. Provide your opinion on the use of AS
I'm a big advocate of student involvement. The more money that we are able to allocate these organizations, the more they're capable of hosting events that encourage student participation, the more that we have avenues for students to participate, provide them opportunities, the more they're involved. If we have more programs on campus, this doesn't necessarily fall into student organizations, but things like Fire at the Fountain, Homecoming Week. Student organizations can also host their own events, encourage students to come out and be a part of this Spartan community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get all candidates ready for Vice President? Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Cole Niblett, running for Vice President, current Director of Student Affairs, and President of College Democrats at San Jose State.
I'm Beyonce. I'm Aaron Miller, Director of Internal Affairs, third year Alex Avenue.
So your first question is, what qualifications do you have for this position? Let's start with Mr. Miller.
So like I just said, I'm Director of Internal Affairs. This is my second term being on A.S. I think that longevity in the organization gives me great context on what needs to happen next year going forward. And I think the things I'm working on right now will translate perfectly into the Vice President position. All that experience would allow me to help prime the board and new directors in finding the direction that they really want to go. I've heard a lot of great ideas at these past few candidate events, and I think some of the experience that I have and connections I have on campus in some of the administrative offices and academic senate. I've served 2 years in academic senate, and I've built relationships with people that I think I can connect you guys with so that you can make these things come to fruition. I was also an orientation leader, so met a lot of freshmen there, and I think they're the upcoming class of student leaders who are really going to carry on the stuff that we're doing now, and I know a lot of those students. So all these connections and the network, the Sparta network that I built on campus, and being a very visible, familiar face, I think will really translate into a champion for students. I think the Vice President is the candidate who really, well, the position in A.S. that really should be responsible for the facilitation of the board of directors' priorities. So I think I've been a lot of
Thank you. Mr. Niblett.
Well, like Aaron, I'm in my second year in Associate Students. I started out as a student at large on our lobby board committee. This year, as I said, I'm sitting on the board of directors as Director of Student Fee Affairs. In my role in Associate Students, I passed the second most amount of resolutions out of any board member so far this year. So I believe that by having a record of passing a great amount of resolutions, I'll continue to advocate on certain positions as Vice President, because by passing resolutions and taking stances on campus-wide issues, Associate Students basically becomes more present on campus. And there's a lot of mystery surrounding how Associate Students feels about certain issues. I think that we need to be vocal in advocating for the students, and as a board member, I've had a record of being very vocal in my advocacy for the students. Additionally, as president of College Democrats, I have a record of managing people beneath me. I have an executive team which I have looked out for and managed. So as the vice president of Associate Students, that role will allow me to use my people management skills to train new board members and manage these members to make sure that the board is as effective as possible in dealing with campus issues.
Thank you. And lastly, can we get all presidential candidates? Go ahead and introduce yourselves when you're ready.
Hello everyone, my name is Peter Lee. I'm a third-year international business student here at San Jose State. Hi everyone, my name is A.J. McDonald. I'm a second-year business administration and marketing major at San Jose State.
My name is Michael Jeffrey. I am a third-year political science major.
Okay, so your first question is, what does AS need to do to be more effective on campus? Let's start with Mr. Lee.
So A.S. plays a very unique role on campus in terms of the way we mediate really important issues between the university and the student body.
I think there's two pieces to this relationship. There's the piece of our connection with the student body. We need to be really, really connected with the students because ultimately we represent your voice. We have to be really connected and understand what is the students' need and what the students want. At the same time, we also have to be very connected with the university and the administration because if we're ever to voice those opinions and if we need to make those things happen, we need to have that close relationship with them so we come together at the table with them and advocate for those things.
Thank you. Mr. McDonald?
Yes, can you repeat the question one more time, sir?
What do associate students need to do to be more effective on campus?
What I think the Associated Students needs to do to be more effective on campus is I think we need to bring the student government to the students. We need to deliver the message. Every student pays an Associated Students fee and they have the right to know about all the different clubs and organizations on campus. If you go onto my SJSU, you're going to find a bunch of different web pages where you can find a lot of different event calendars for all the different organizations. However, I believe that it is the Associated Students' responsibility to deliver this message to students so that they can know that there are a lot of different clubs and organizations on campus that might cater to their interests and that they know that they are available for them on campus.
Okay, and lastly, Mr. Jeffrey.
Yes. So the ways that I think associate students can be more effective on campus, it comes down to communication. I believe that we need to be that open line of communication between the administration and the students. We are the liaison between the students and the administration, and that we need to keep that line of communication open. One way that we can do that is one project that we've been working on for this past year is the Student Senate. It's a great opportunity for a bunch of different organizations to come together and to really talk about issues that they're having on campus, but also to collaborate with each other for a common issue, for a common cause.
And your next question, how would your leadership be reflected in your term as president? We'll start with Mr. McDonald.
Absolutely. My leadership would be reflected in my term as president because what I want to do is I want to create a better name for Associated Students on campus. When I heard that only 3,000 students voted for Associated Students last year, I was absolutely shocked. Associated Students has the ability to control what happens on campus. And the fact that our Associated Students doesn't play a bigger role in that and that we do not reach out to more students as far as elections go, reflects on how far we're able to reach out as far as the rest of our activities go. I think that we need to increase our public relations. I think we need to increase student safety. I think that we need to make sure that we get to the bottom of student concerns and that we address them as representatives of the school.
Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey,
What was the question again?
how would your leadership be reflected in your term as president?
Yeah, my leadership, one of the problems that I think that we have with A.S. is we have a lot of different projects that we all do, but not necessarily continuity. So people will be maybe working on similar ideas, but not necessarily even know that they're doing quite similar things. And that's something that we can work on, communication within the board and collaboration. And that just makes us stronger because we can now put more resources towards one goal, and which is something that get to more students and have a bigger impact on our student body.
Okay. Lastly, Mr. Lee.
I think I can first start answering this question by maybe explaining a little bit about my leadership experience here on campus in my 3 years. I've held 2 executive roles within my fraternity. I've been an orientation leader. I've also been the president of a student organization called Create Change, and I've also been a crisis counselor at the YWCA. So my experience in the way I lead is both vast and varied. I think I've had a lot of experience with leading different types of organizations. I think also my level of involvement on campus too is a really, it's a big testament to how I understand the bigger picture because I've played a role in a lot of different places on campus. In terms of the way I lead the board, I'm really big on empowerment. And I think one testament to that is my devotion to helping build the Student Senate. The Student Senate is something I've been working on for about a year now with several other directors. And the idea behind the Student Senate, once again, as Mr. Jeffrey mentioned, is to really empower students and to unify that student voice and to bring that student voice to the administration because part of what we do here is we represent the students. So part of what I want to do as president is to really empower the student body and also empower associated students to collaborate with students and to collaborate with organizations on campus so we can really unify that student voice and really bring that voice to the